Welcome to Backpage Blues. I'm joined by Charlie the Hurricane Skillen from the Mail Online. Lovely to see you.
Yeah, mate. How was your holiday?
Yeah, it was great. Really good. Really good.
Yeah,
it was superb. I think you know a lot of the people over there.
Yeah. I was very jealous. You and our mutual friend Callum on rafts and getting climbed on by monkeys and all sorts.
Yeah, no, it was very good fun. I loved it.
Yeah.
What's been happening since we last saw you?
To be honest, it's more of the same, which I think is a good thing because the club's targets seem very direct, very set in stone, the positions they want and the players that they want. Okay. Now, I was here with Sophie last week and we talked about how we're not getting the absolute top targets. Now, while that's still possibly the case, you know, we're talking dreamland with those targets and then there's some very good players that the club and Conte are obviously looking at as well. Now, we all know, I think watching the friendlies, especially the first one against Rapid Vienna, I think the defence is going to remain an issue until we get more signings there.
Although Ola Aina is looking a bit of a revelation. That changes the dynamic entirely, doesn't it?
I mean, the thing is, I don't think he is a revelation. I think you know he has been a good player for the last 12 months or so. But it'd be really great to see him get a chance in the team
because it opens up everything else. It means Azpilicueta can go the other side. It just makes it stronger across the back, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, frankly, he's better on his wrong side than Baba Rahman is on his proper side. So. Look, it'd be great to see him get a chance this season. In terms of centre halves and the signings, we all know that Leonardo Bonucci is kind of the dream signing. Everyone who watched the Euros, everyone wants him. Yeah. Every single team in Europe wants Bonucci. That is, as it stands, not going to happen. I've said that for weeks. Kostas Manolas from Roma, that had kind of been written off like, oh, that's just not happening because Roma want about 100 billion for him. But that's actually getting more likely now. Conte is sort of putting the feelers out in Serie A. The club are making real kind of strides to make that happen. If they don't get him, again, we come back to Koulibaly. The fee for Koulibaly is going to be a lot. It's going to be about 45 million. Wow. And we're competing with Everton, not that kind of that makes much difference. But, you know, I think Everton are going to be a different prospect in this transfer window with the new investment. They're obviously going to be, I'd put money on them being armed with a load of money they get for John Stones from Manchester City. So that's going to be a kind of interesting battle.
So Bonucci, Manolas, Koulibaly, it's going to happen. Something is going to happen.
So something's certainly going to happen. Something really has to happen. And I think if you watched Chelsea last season, that would kind of be an area that you say...
We're not going to go back in for John Stones? You don't think that's going to be the door that's going to reopen?
No, I just don't think we're in the running anymore, frankly. I mean, Stones was absolutely desperate for that move to happen last summer. Chelsea were desperate as well. Everton just held firm. I don't think they'll hold firm this time, and I think it'll be Manchester City and Pep Guardiola. I think, you know, unfortunately, due to events of the past 12 months, they're competing at a different level of player than Chelsea are.
Yes, that's a shame. That's a real shame. So we know that we're going to get reinforcements at the back. It's going to be one of the players that we've mentioned.
Yeah.
All good. All would improve our side, and all would do a good job, I'm sure. So optimistic.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and let's not forget, you know, when John Terry's in full fitness, when Kurt Zouma comes back. I mean, we had great news this week. You know, great quotes from him that he expects to be back in a couple of months. Yeah. My favourite day of the week on the working at the Mail was getting.
It's the day that you come to see us, of course.
Yeah, obviously. But apart from that, you know, I said working at the Mail when we get all the training pictures coming through. I was sort of scrolling through, and it's all great. And then suddenly I see Kurt Zouma, and he's back in full training. Yeah. And you know,
I love the. Did you see?
He's going to be. Hopefully, he says he's going to be raring to go within 2 months. So that'd be a massive boost.
That will be superb. Did you see Bertrand Traoré rolling around on one of those big
medicine balls? Yeah, it was fantastic.
It's really good. There seems to be a good atmosphere in the camp, doesn't there?
Yeah, it really does.
Pedro was laughing his head off.
Yeah, and I think it was. I think it was Matic who's already spoken about what a positive atmosphere it's been within the first kind of week they've worked with Conte. So yeah,
it's looking good.
It is looking good. Yeah.
Wonderful. So if the back line is going to be sorted out, it sounds like we've nailed it. What's going to happen? We need reinforcements up front, don't we?
Well, yeah, absolutely. You know, obviously we've already signed Batshuayi, who, you know, we had 2 scheduled friendlies, but Chelsea actually had a behind closed door friendly this week.
We whooped someone.
Yeah, 8-0. Yeah. 8-0, happy days. Come on, Chelsea. Yeah. And Batshuayi got on the score sheet. Pedro scored a couple. Loic Remy, interestingly, scored a hat-trick. Now, I still don't think Loic Remy will be a Chelsea player. In fact, we're pretty sure he's going to Turkey. But if the deals for the striker targets don't come off, that is an option. Yeah. However, Conte remains a huge fan of Alvaro Morata. We know that it's going to take a lot of money to get him. We think Real Madrid are ready to hold on to him. This is what me and Sophie said last week. But
What, for their own first team?
For their own squad, certainly. I mean, it depends on what Real Madrid want to do in terms of transfers. I mean, they just lost out on Andre Gomez to Barcelona. They were ready to sign Gomez. Interestingly, Chelsea were also in for Gomez until they heard the fees being bandied about by Valencia. But Barcelona came in and sort of whisked him away. So it's very rare that a summer goes by where Real Madrid don't make a big statement signing. It's looking like that might be the case. But if they need to raise some funds, no one's buying James Rodriguez for the kind of money that they're after, which is like 80 million. No one's buying him.
I'd like to buy him. I like him. Some people, the comments, last time I mentioned that, the comments on the video really did get, he got a lukewarm reception at best. But I rate him highly. The way that he galvanised that Colombia team. I went to the World Cup that year, and he was fantastic.
He was. But I don't know.
It hasn't quite worked out for him,
I have reservations about his ability to make that work in the Premier League.
Right.
But you know, they have to sell a big asset. It will be Morata. Now, failing that, Chelsea are still interested in re-signing Romelu Lukaku.
This keeps coming and going.
It really does.
Tide.
It really does. It really does, and he moves about as quickly as well. No, I'm joking. He's obviously a very, very good player. Again, we come back to Everton. They're in a vastly different position than they were this time last year. They can demand 75 million for him. Chelsea will not pay that.
I don't think we should either.
No, and that's what's stopping that deal happening. The extortionate fees. Not extortionate, because Everton have the right to demand that.
That is a huge.
Oh, of course.
Like disproportionately huge to his talent as well. Whether you rate him highly or whether you're, I think some people like to focus on his brilliant goal scoring record.
Yeah.
Other people like to focus on his abominable first touch. It depends on what side of the argument. I'm actually on the side that says he raced to 50 goals in 100 games. He's a good player. He's a good goal scorer.
Yeah, of course. But I think anyone who doesn't think he's a good player needs to.
He's not 75 million.
No, of course he's not. But again, transfer fees, they've just gone mad. I mean, what is a £75 million player? What is a £60 million player? It's the new 20 and 30. Do you know what I mean? So it's very hard in these early days of the TV deal.
Just speaking personally, I would rather we didn't spend £75 million on Romelu Lukaku there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
so
is there somebody else?
As a fan, I agree with that. Again, further down the list is Gabriel Barbosa, who's been after removed, for a while. Gabagol, as he's known.
Showing my age here, but it's reminiscent of Batigol.
It is, and Chelsea were very, very close to signing him as well.
No way.
Yeah, in the late 90s. Yeah.
Oh, that would have been a fantastic
I know, wouldn't
acquisition.
It just?
What a player he was.
Wouldn't it just? I think Ken Bates pulled the plug over wages.
Burke.
There's some news hot off the press for you.
In other news, Chelsea are about to sign Matt Letizia.
Yeah, we signed Kazaragi instead. Exclusive.
So, is there anything happening in that, Gabigol?
I mean, again, that's going to be about 16 million, it's between 16 and 20. He is an option. He's one that Chelsea have had a long-standing interest in, but he's very much kind of third, fourth choice.
So is this similar to what we were saying about what was going on in the back line? One of these players, whether it's this Barbosa, whether it's Morata, whether it's Lukaku, one of them is going to happen. Chelsea are going to sign a striker.
I would have thought so. It definitely looks like Conte wants to play two up front. I mean, we've already heard him talk about playing Loftus-Cheek up front, which I find a little bit odd. But I mean, look, I think ideally Conte would have another striker at his disposal. I
see, okay. So we've covered the back line. We've also covered the forwards. The midfield is...
N'Golo Kante.
Kante's in, but I'm hearing somebody may be leaving.
Well...
There was word on the street that Mourinho, Manchester United and Matic may be having a bit of a union.
Look, we talked about this before on the show, and Matic is open to leaving Chelsea. That's an open secret in football. Now, he is one of Manchester United's fail-safes if they don't get Paul Pogba. We fully expect them to get Pogba. Now, interesting enough...
That's very interesting. Pogba to United is looking...
Oh, it's nailed on. Absolutely nailed on. It'll be a world record fee, and it'll happen within the next few weeks.
So United have done everything that Mourinho have asked, haven't they? They've gone out and they've got...
I mean, for me, that is... If you're a Chelsea fan, that's the most irritating part about it. It's not that he's gone to Man United or that Chelsea... It's that Manchester United have backed Mourinho and his plans in a way that Chelsea completely failed to last summer. So that's sort of quite grating.
Okay.
But interesting enough, so when Paul Pogba does move to Man United, which we fully expect to happen, one of Juventus' top targets, in fact the top target to replace him, is Nemanja Matic. However, Roman Abramovich has personally blocked any move for Matic until Chelsea sort out what they want to do with the midfield.
That's very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Matic is a big Abramovich favourite by all accounts.
Matic would be fantastic for Juve, I think. I think it would really...
he would.
You can understand why Juve would be really desperate to sign him if they lost Pogba. I can completely understand why that would be a good move all round.
Absolutely, and I think his brand of kind of very physical play, I think sometimes in the really quick Premier League games, he can look a bit flat, whereas because Serie A is so...
It's a more languid pace.
Exactly, I think he could really shine. Having said that, if Conte wants to play kind of just a two-man midfield, we've already talked about, like, it's not certain that Fabregas is going to be able to do that. And stuff we're hearing out of the camp is that Conte has his reservations that Fabregas could play as a two-man midfield. Matic and Kante, for example...
Yeah, that's got all bases covered.
That is a decent proposition. So
where does that leave Fabregas? So if that were to happen, where does that leave Fabregas? Because I am such an admirer of his. I don't believe that the best Chelsea midfield, however it shapes up, doesn't on some level contain Cesc Fabregas.
I tend to
Stumped him.
I tend to agree with you in terms of talent. I mean, this is a disclaimer. Like, I'm not his biggest fan. Right? I think he's a wonderfully talented player who, when he's on form and given the space to do what he's good at, is one of the best assets in the Premier League. We saw that in the first half of the season Chelsea won the title. We saw it...
We've seen it. He's countless examples of his brilliance.
We've seen countless examples of it. I think when he's not on form and the game can pass him by so much, I think if Conte is playing this ruthless physical style, pressure and running back and forth,
So I suppose it depends on the opposition then. There are certain games where you'd play Matic and Kante. There are other games where you'd play Fabregas and Matic, for example.
Possibly. I mean, I think Kante is key to all of it. I'm really, really excited about seeing him in a Chelsea shirt. So, but look, Fabregas would be one of the last players I'd want to sell. But I'm just talking about the absolute first choice 11. I personally believe Conte has reservations that Fabregas is part of it.
Okay. I would put a little caveat by the first choice 11. I think there isn't one.
No.
Depending on who the opposition is, there is.
Yeah, of course.
So it's a good problem to have.
Yeah,
and also,
absolutely.
if the season goes as we hope it will, we'll play in excess of 50 games. If it goes as well as it can.
Yeah. We win the treble, yeah.
Yeah, so why not? Why not? But if we do that, well, we could play 50 games. Or nearly 50. Yeah. So you're going to need a squad to rotate.
Oh, look, I mean, and the best thing about having Fabregas in the squad is he offers something completely unique. And I'm a big believer in maximising players that offer different things. And Fabregas is one of the best passers in world football.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Matic is staying because Abramovich has had a word.
Well, possibly, and unless Conte can bring in someone else he wants.
Okay, that's shaping up quite nicely. I believe you have some news on Christensen for us.
Yeah, I mean, this is a real interesting story, actually, and quite a good one for I know our viewers really care about the youth team and integrating youth players, as I think most fans do. Borussia Mönchengladbach, where Christensen excelled last year and won their Player of the Year over a certain Granit Xhaka who signed for Arsenal. Yeah. They put in a £14.25 million bid to sign him permanently. Chelsea rejected that flat out.
Yeah, it's not enough money.
No, nowhere near enough. And that was the word from Stamford Bridge. He's staying at Borussia Mönchengladbach because he's on a 2-year loan. He's in the middle of a 2-year loan. But the word coming out of Chelsea is that if he sustains that form this season, then he will be slotting into the first team next season.
Great news. Love the idea of him being in our back line.
Be brilliant.
Wonderful. Right, it's time for the Q&A.
Let's do it.
So Victor Moses has been playing very, very well in some of the pre-season games.
He always does.
He did the same last year, didn't he?
Saw a great tweet saying kids must love seeing Victor Moses in a Chelsea shirt because they know it's the summer holidays.
Yes, very, very true. I've got a very interesting question here. It's time for the Q&A, obviously, and we did it a different way. We did it on Instagram. So if you're following us or you're not following us, make sure that you take your Instagram account, follow us, and then you can get your questions in. Right, the question I'm going to ask Charlie, thank you so much. There's a lot to choose from here. It's from Zion Sun 268. Will Moses stay with Chelsea this season?
I think we answered this last year when he was playing so well in pre-season, which obviously he has done again. I'd quite like to see it. I mean, for me, we talk about these loan players so much, and don't get me wrong, it's not like Moses is some 18-year-old who we want to blood into the team. He's a proven Premier League player who maybe didn't have the best loan spell last season. But the one thing I will say is he seems like a Conte sort of player. Do you know what I mean? Maybe he's not the most talented world beater, but he's willing to work and he's energy all day long. In fact, you saw what Conte did with a player like Giaccherini in the Euros, and you think, do I want Victor Moses starting for Chelsea in a league game that you have to have 3 points to win the league.
Yes, yeah.
Possibly not.
No, but Stoke away in December.
All day long, he can be a valuable squad member. There is nothing I've seen to suggest that Victor Moses couldn't be a decent part of Chelsea's squad. I think he's got the right attributes to work well under Conte, and I think
didn't have the best season at West Ham. Is that
he didn't? But I think it's difficult for these loan players to come into an established team. I mean, look, Bilic is a great manager, had his own ideas, and also look, on the left they had Dimitri Payet half the time. Yeah. So I mean,
it's hard to break in.
You're not getting in ahead of him. They have players like Lanzini. They actually had a very kind of talented team.
What goal he scored against us?
Oh bloody hell! Yeah, it was amazing.
It's horrible.
Yeah. But no, I'd like to see it. There's no kind of indication either way as of yet. Apart from Moses, obviously it's in his interest. Been really kind of talking up Conte and the work he's been doing. So he's been doing a bit of sucking up. But
good.
Look, I'd love to see it personally.
Nice. Next question is from William23M. Thank you very much. He has said, I assume he means Dennis Wise, but he said Denise Wise or Frank Lampard.
I'm not answering that. That's like choosing between my mum and dad.
Fair enough. I think that's a complete. I genuinely think that's fair enough. I can't pick between.
My childhood hero and Chelsea's greatest ever player
is.
Well, no. Childhood hero is Dennis Wise and Chelsea's.
Fine.
Frank Lampard.
Okay. Can't argue that. So Victor Moses has obviously been doing very well. Another player that gets a lot of attention from fans of this channel is Juan Cuadrado. Cuadrado has a lot of admirers, particularly in world football.
Yeah.
He's also got a few admirers on this, and Alex Ball has asked, do you think we should keep him?
Well, the one admirer he does have, which is even more important than Alex Ball, is he's got a big fan in Antonio Conte. Conte's actually gone on record last week. We reported the quotes that he wants to keep Cuadrado. He said Cuadrado is a fantastic asset, and he joined up with the team before the last friendly. When Cahill and all that joined up. So yeah, I mean, again, I go back to the point where, possibly not first choice, but Conte. We know Conte wants to play with wingers that work up and down. Cuadrado spent his whole career doing that, and I think I've made this argument before. Even though we didn't see the best of him, if you don't bring him in, you're only going to have to spend another 20 million on someone who might not work at all.
I'd like to see him around. So I think he could do a job for sure.
Yeah. The only potential is if we know Juventus want him, we know Roma want him. If he ends up being a bargaining chip, there's a lot of clubs that are interested in him, and I think Chelsea would see that as an okay deal. But in terms of Conte and his system and what the manager thinks, we're pretty sure that Cuadrado is going to be part of the Chelsea squad.
Superb. The last question, and there's a few people who've mentioned it on the Instagram account, is. The question is to Charlie, and the question is, Charlie, what do you think of Rory's shorts?
I wouldn't expect anything else, mate. They're absolutely fantastic. Short shorts and Ray-Bans.
Short shorts and Ray-Bans.
You've got to do it. You've got to do it.
Yeah,
I feel hideously overdressed in jeans.
Short shorts and Ray-Bans. You can't ask for more than that. This has been really good fun. Thank you so much for getting your questions in. And like I say, they're on Instagram. So all you have to do to get your question in next week is follow us on Instagram, and the picture will go out, and I will ask for your questions. Charlie, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Mate.
And I'll see you next week. On you Blues.
Hello everybody and welcome to Chelsea Fans Channel. Now, as you all know, we need another striker, and although there's lots of rumours going about, the one that's getting the most traction at the moment is Gabriel Barbosa from Santos.